One very ordinary day at the White House. Just another day in the office for Donald J. Trump. But today, there was a special phone call.
Hello? Who am I speaking with?
Oh, you're speaking with the CEO of ExxonMobil. Well, Mr. Trump, we're having some real issues with climate change. All these groups are trying to unite against us, and people are believing them that climate change is real. Well, I do know it's real, but it's affecting our company, and we're losing a lot of money, and we need your help to convince the public. $10 million. We'll give you $10 million if you can successfully convince the public that climate change isn't real. All right? Do we have a deal?
Oh, well, sure. Hello, Sam. What have you come to talk to me about today?
Well, you see, Mr. Trump, we're having issues with climate change once again. It's happening faster than ever, and we figured that in the next 30 or so years, it'll be so bad we won't even be able to live on our own planet. We need to take action, sir. Ice caps are melting. Everything is happening so fast, sir. We need to do something. What are we gonna do? If ice caps melt, ocean levels rise. If ocean levels rise, we're probably going to have more rainfall. If we have more rainfall, there will be more floods. If there are more floods, well, of course there's going to be natural disasters. And due to the more floods, we'll have mosquitoes. Mosquitoes can carry diseases. And there'll be a national outbreak of some deadly disease. And we'll all die.
Well, you see, Sam, that's not going to happen in our lifetime. You and I are both very old gentlemen, and we're going to pass away very soon. It's not our problem. Why don't we just enjoy our life? Now you, listen to me. Take these gold blocks. Do not say a word about this to the media. Take them, destroy the report, forget about climate change, and enjoy the rest of your life while you can.
But sir, we're all gonna die. We can't do this. We need to save it. Our planet. We need to preserve our planet for the future generation.
Do as I say.
Obama's talking about all of this with the global warming and that. A lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry.
I don't think CO2 is a problem, and therefore I don't think it needs to be regulated. We all breathe CO2, climate changes, but there's no evidence at all that it's man-made CO2 that causes the climate to change. It's almost comical. Every time we exhale carbon dioxide. Every cow in the world, when they do what they do, you've got more carbon dioxide. It could be secular. It could be just a shift on the axis. The ice caps are melting, which we see over and over again. Yeah, they're melting on Mars, too.
As you can see, politicians disagree with climate change for one main reason: money. Large companies give them huge sums of money to disagree with this, as it affects their company. This is the small island nation of Kiribati in the Pacific. They face a constant threat from rising sea levels. The sea levels are continuously rising, and they've even made an evacuation plan to remove their entire population and relocate them on a separate island. They're currently negotiating with Fiji. However, Fiji is currently opposing the plan due to their own issues with rising sea levels, and I'm sure overpopulation would definitely not help. One of Kiribati's largest industries is the agricultural industry. Rising sea levels have a catastrophic impact on that. If the farms disappear, the food will not be grown there and will have to be imported, making the food much, much more expensive. For those who may not be able to afford the food, they would have to rely on other resources, which would cause a huge famine in the country. As a huge number of the country's population works in the agricultural industry, this would increase unemployment rates. You may be thinking, well, they're an island nation, they have a lot of shoreline. If they don't have agriculture, there's always seafood. Well, now the problem with that is, with warmer ocean temperatures, the fish can't survive, and basically the food chain. If microplankton can't survive, it just cuts the food chain off at the first step. Now let's take a trip to our next island, which will be Hawaii. Now please note that Hawaii is also facing threats from rising sea levels, but I won't cover that because I've already gone through all of that in detail, and instead I will focus on Hawaii's main issue with natural disasters and how volcanic eruptions are ruining the landscape. Before we reach Hawaii, let's take a stop at Vanuatu. In 2015, they were faced by Cyclone Pam. This destroyed everything. Cyclone affected 64% of their economy, as well as 96% of their crops. The effect on their economy was catastrophic, and if it weren't for other large countries and the United Nations, they may not even be here today. New Zealand played a huge part in helping them. We sent food supplies and lots of money to combat their economy. As a small island nation, they know what it's like to face climate change, and they know the disasters that it causes. Now, let's move on to Hawaii. Ah, Hawaii. What a beautiful place to be. In the middle of the world, accessible from any continent, North America or Asia, wherever you're from. It's a tropical paradise. But will it really be in the next few years? Volcanoes, typhoons, everything's happening so fast. Rising sea levels. I'm pretty sure tourists don't like risking their lives. With one of their largest industries down, soon the Hawaiian economy would collapse. And a huge number of the residents are employed in the tourism industry, and therefore there'd be a shortage of jobs. Collapsing the economy and the currency. This would be catastrophic. Food would be incredibly expensive, and most people may not be able to afford it. Hawaii is located extremely close to some of the major tectonic plates on the planet, increasing the chances of natural disasters such as eruptions, volcanic eruptions, or tsunamis, earthquakes, and everything. This isn't helped by climate change as it increases the risk of these natural disasters happening and makes them happen more often. Typhoons and hurricanes are just now a natural thing, and volcanic eruptions, for them, one happens every month. Nothing too special. This would be a huge threat to the Hawaiian people, as magma releases a toxic gas. Even if you survive from that, the quantity of the toxic gas is enough to kill a fully grown adult. That's really dangerous. So we've looked at some examples. What really causes climate change? Let's first talk about the greenhouse effect and the enhanced greenhouse effect. What the greenhouse effect is, it's like a little layer above the earth which keeps heat trapped in. So heat which comes in from the sun, a small amount of it is kept in. Enhanced greenhouse effect is when the concentration of gases is too high in the layer, therefore way too much heat is kept in, causing climate change. Politicians agree up to this point, but what they deny is that it's not man-made CO2 emissions which are causing the climate to change, because if that happened, then oil companies would have a huge responsibility, making them go out of business. Now these gases can come from a very simple place, like your car, or maybe a factory, nuclear power plant, oil mining, fracking.
Here are some perspectives of well-known people.
So as an island nation, what can we do to help climate change? Or what will we face in the first place? If islands such as Kiribati are faced with rising sea levels and there's not enough room on land, people will move to places such as Australia and New Zealand, which can hold the amount of people. New Zealand is filled with biodiversity. We have kiwis, we have penguins, just about anything. We need to protect the environment to ensure these species can live safely. Hence the Maori word kaitia tikanga. Currently, New Zealand is not doing enough according to what they've promised at the Paris Climate Agreement, and we must improve on that. What we need to do is lower our carbon emissions. They're way too high for our population. Use public transportation, or even better, just cycle. Here are some policies that governments could implement into our society. First of all, they could have one motor vehicle policy. Each family can only have one motorized vehicle. If you wish for more, you must apply for a license. And the most important thing, improve public transportation. If public transportation is highly efficient, then why would people even need cars in the first place? There are more bus stops, more buses, more locations, more people. Recap time! 3 island nations we've looked at are Kiribati, Vanuatu, and Hawaii.
Kiribati faces a threat from rising sea levels, and Hawaii faces a threat from natural disasters, such as volcanic eruptions.
And I used Vanuatu just to show what impact climate change has on the economy.
Climate change is caused by the enhanced greenhouse effect. This happens when the concentration of gases is too high in the greenhouse layer. Scientists have proven that these gases are man-made CO2 emissions. Politicians deny that climate change is caused by man-made CO2 emissions, as they're paid to do so by large oil companies and gas companies, as this would affect their sales. Some of the rich politicians, Donald Trump, own stocks in those companies, and they wouldn't want the price of their stocks going down. Currently, New Zealand is not doing enough to combat climate change. Now, the government can solve this by putting heavier taxes on motorized vehicles, making their registration much more expensive. This would discourage them and make people use public transportation. However, this would put strain on public transportation, and you would also need to improve that sector. Their possibility would be to assassinate all of the CEOs of large oil companies that are forcing politicians to agree with them. At the end of the day, it's not up to the United Nations or some government to save the environment. It's up to us. We are the ones who can make the change, and therefore, we must change.
Thank you very much
for watching. Wait, there's more! Statistics. The boring stuff that no one likes. And that's why I put it at the end. Global temperatures have risen by 0.5 degrees Celsius, or 0.28 degrees Fahrenheit, since 2014. Glaciers are retreating 10 times faster than before. Carbon dioxide emissions are up by 406.69 parts per million since the previous year. Last year, we lost a total of 286 gigatons of ice. It just melted into the ocean. 2016, on average, the sea levels rose 3.4 millimeters. Probably heard of the two hurricanes, Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Harvey, which went through the Caribbean islands and USA. They caused so much damage. How do they happen? Warming ocean temperatures. Acidification of oceans has increased by 30% in the last 5 years. Due to this, we're losing a lot of biodiversity. This affects the people that rely on the fishing industry through survival. Now let's move on to the bibliography. Most of my data I've gathered is from NASA. NASA is highly reliable and therefore I trust it. The opinions of the politicians have been gathered through Vox, which is also incredibly reliable. Data for the islands has been gathered from their respective governments, which is also highly accurate. Learned a lot about ice, glaciers and carving and all of that from the documentary Chasing Ice. The footage was also really helpful. And last but not least, what we learnt in class was the most useful of them all, the worksheets which we did and all. That really helped me with just opinions and all that. And now just a reminder to know what you can do to help climate change. Take short showers. Don't go in there for too long. Don't waste hot water. Just don't waste anything. Don't leave your devices charging all night long. And use public transportation. If you use renewable energy, and make sure that your home is well insulated so you don't have to have like a heat pump or a heater running 24/7. There's some basic solutions that anyone can do. So why not do them? I'd like to thank Donald Trump for letting me use his face in my entire video, and thanks for watching.